is a great little spot to do some DG. Today's topic is, what are the 3 nationalities or countries of Asian women that you should not date or even really get involved with at all? Now, I'm going to talk about them as nationalities, countries, because most countries in Asia are still representative of one race within the country. It's not very diverse. Same religion generally. Most countries in Asia, if you just go to the country, you will expect to see a particular race, and that hasn't changed because immigration hasn't really hit Asia yet, and most countries in Asia are overpopulated. So I'm really just going to name 3 types of girls that you should avoid dating. In my opinion, the worst types of Asian girls to date. Sure, you can have a one-night stand or whatever with any girl in Asia, but I'm going to make it a lot easier for you guys to just, if you're going to go on a trip to Asia or you're going to find yourself a girl from one of these countries, these are 3 to avoid or be very careful with. And on top of that, I'm going to categorize them really in 2 parts, really: their attractiveness and the cultural reasons why you shouldn't date them. So these 3 countries are in no order at all, so don't think that they're in any specific order. They're not. 1, there's 3 countries. Let's start with number 1. Number 1 is South Korea. South Korean girls, in my opinion, you should avoid dating or getting involved in any way, shape or form. If you're thinking that K-pop is a representative of what Korean girls look like, Google plastic surgery in South Korea. Also understand that they are heavily influenced by the United States. Just because Google promotes K-pop doesn't mean they're the most beautiful or the most talented. It's a geopolitical thing more than anything, an economic thing that the United States is promoting. Most Korean girls, Korea in general is a very racist country, xenophobic country. They don't like foreigners, and that is basically because they're the Ukraine of Asia. They've been squashed and invaded so many times by the Chinese from one end or the Japanese on the other end. They have a good reason to be xenophobic, and it's built into their culture. So culturally, you're going to deal with a lot of girls that have a background or a family that just won't like you. You're going to deal with a lot of racism if you have to deal with them if you're a foreigner. Even if you are an Asian from China or Japan, you're going to have trouble in South Korea. Culturally, they are also very feminist. A lot of Korean women have this, entitlement inherited from the United States. Every country that is connected to the United States and has got rich of trading with the United States has entitled women like this. And there's a few other cultural problems as well. You're not going to understand their culture. It's a very complex culture, and it'll take you a long time to understand it. It's just not worth your time dating them culturally. Secondly, plastic surgery, they're actually not that attractive to, and this might seem like a controversial thing to say, but generally South Korean girls are the most overweight in Asia. Japanese girls are thinner, Chinese girls are thinner. Every other country in Asia has thinner girls, and I think that could be partially because of the United States influence and so much fast food and awful unhealthy processed foods that have gone into South Korea. But also genetically, girls that eat well, you can also notice that they have really chunky legs on average. You might see a tall, beautiful Korean girl, but she's often accompanied with a girl who is generally overweight. Also, they have their facial structure, they're very square when you compare them to other women in Asia. In my opinion, they're probably one of the least attractive nations there. Recently, you can Google this as well, you can search it up. A Korean man married a beautiful Korean girl, and they had children, and the children were extremely ugly. So ugly that he sued his wife because he didn't realize that his wife had so much plastic surgery. His children came out so ugly and he didn't realize that, and he sued her for pretty much deceiving him into marrying her and having kids, and now his kids are ugly, and he was so angry about it that he sued her. So there's lots of evidence of Korean men sick of getting out and rioting in public. They're voting in politicians that are anti-feminism in South Korea. There's a lot of problems in South Korea due to the female population, and I would recommend that you avoid South Korean women altogether, no matter where you meet them in the world. And that doesn't mean that you can't find a good one, but on average you are going to have a lot of trouble finding a good one. So South Korea 1, avoid at all costs. Let's work our way down the map of Asia. 2, the second country that you should avoid are Thai girls. Now, a lot of you guys travel to Thailand and Bangkok. I had to put this in the list. Now, a lot of Thai girls, they are culturally Chinese, but they have all these xenophobic problems as well, geopolitically. You'll notice that they use Line. Line is a Japanese app, while being on the border of China. They have a lot of political strife in the country as well. And they are very xenophobic. You might not actually realize that when you go to the country, because you might go to Bangkok and hang out in the Farang areas, where the Farangs, the women over there, just want your money. But if you get into a serious relationship, you're going to have a lot of trouble. There we go. I don't know what that thing is. Thai girls are generally quite nice, and they're very friendly. I will admit that. They're extremely agreeable, they're extremely feminine, but culturally there's a thing called a kick or a nip or something. I can't actually explain what a kick or kip. I can't say it in Thai, but it's the basic premise of what a culturally in Thailand, they will have a guy that they're in love with who is more their age, and then they will date or even marry a guy who is the provider. So culturally, quite often, and this is hidden most of the time unless you actually dig deep into the culture in Thailand, is that they have two men always. They have the man that they love, and they have the man that provides for them and spends everything on them. The man that spends everything on them, his money is diverted through to the man that they actually love. She will be sleeping with both of them all the time, and she'll never, very rarely be monogamous. So monogamy isn't really in the Thai culture, and this is probably why so many Westerners go there, get laid, think that they're winning, when in fact they're coming over there as the provider for their real boyfriend that they really love. This also feeds into STDs and all these other issues, but generally, if you are dating a Thai girl in... oh no, she was covering her face from the sun. Not me, she's still covering her face. I was like, there's cameras everywhere, why are you worried about this camera? So, culturally, you're going to struggle to find a monogamous Thai girl. And they're very sneaky, and their high intelligence means that they are more likely to outsmart you. We have a lot of Thais that come to Australia, and they will marry men that are very old just to get citizenship and get out of the country. That is still kind of the same today, and quite often there's so many stories, hundreds or more, that I've heard in my lifetime of Thai girls marrying an Australian guy and then bringing their real boyfriend over a decade after marrying and divorcing an Australian man. Very common, and so you are going to struggle to find a monogamous one as it is. So pair bonding is a big issue with Thai girls culturally. Also, they don't really speak English that well. Massive cultural differences. You're going to struggle unless you maybe learn Thai. And then the problem, the same as with South Korean girls, is that you will also be battling to date higher quality Thai girls. the highest quality Thai girls prefer Thai guys, the same as South Korean girls. If you come across a Thai girl that prefers white guys, that's only because you are the second best. You are her second or third or fourth option. And also, a lot of you guys are old that go to Bangkok and Thailand and date Thai girls. You are probably their last option, and they've run out of options altogether because Thai guys don't want them. Or they're dating you, and you're just the provider for the guy that they really love. This is kind of the same, but a little bit different in South Korea, because the South Koreans, you see, they're just xenophobic. They've got the money, they don't need your money, and so you're gonna, the highest quality South Korean girls go with South Korean guys. Only the leftover girls, or the girls that have run out of options, and they're like, oh, I better go with a filthy foreigner. If you go online and have a look and translate things, you will understand how they really feel. There's a reason why farangs are frowned upon in Thailand, and if you go to country towns, you mess around, you might get messed with in Thailand and in South Korea. So Thai culturally is, yeah. The other aspect is Thai girls are quite cute, don't get me wrong, they're actually quite cute, but you will notice that, as I said, the more beautiful Thai girls, they're going to go with Thai guys, and that's based on the tone of their skin. I know a lot of people have said this a million times online. Darker skin kind of represents your socio-economic status or your class within the country. If you have darker skin, then you're more likely to be a farm girl. But that is still somewhat true today. And that girl, if she could get herself a high quality Thai girl, would choose him every time over you. Keep in mind, you're a foreigner. It's a lot more risky to mess with a foreigner. Foreigners come in, they're less likely to commit to a Thai girl, and when they do, quite often the girl ends up left alone. The Thai guy lives there and is Thai and understands the culture, and so generally it depends on what you like, and preferences it's up to you guys. I would much prefer I'm more attracted personally to the Thai girls that the Thai guys want. So when I went to Bangkok, I had dates with those girls that the Thai guys want, and I missed out on a lot of opportunities over there. It was very difficult, but I had a lot of opportunities for the girls that the Thai guys don't want, because, well, no one really wants them. And I met quite a few Thai girls that were like, oh, Dave, you're really handsome. I was like, really? And this isn't just like hookers or whores or anything. These were girls that were normal girls. But I looked at them, I'm like, I'm in my 40s, I'm a little bit pudgy, I'm a little bit old. The fact that she thinks I'm attractive also says a lot about her. Because I'm not. I'm short, I'm a little bit older, I'm a little bit pudgy, I'm not a tall, good-looking, attractive Australian man, and so therefore, if they're attracted to me, there must be, without building rapport, of course, and that's where game comes in. That's a topic for another day. But if you can build rapport, then obviously you can overcome your attractiveness issues. South Korean girls avoid like the plague. Thai girls also avoid like the plague. Number 3, the final one, the other destination that you guys like to travel to is the Philippines. Now, I'm just gonna say it straight out that there is a lot of that South American fieriness in the Filipinos. They're very fiery, and some parts of the Philippines I've heard of people being robbed and killed and awful things happening. Obviously nowhere near as dangerous as South America, but they do have that Spanish blood in them. They have a touch of that in them. Now, Filipino girls, they do like foreigners, but a lot of it is connected to the fact that they would like to get their hands on your money. Culturally, they are Christian or Catholic and generally very conservative. The funny thing is, a lot of men go there and they have a lot of success with a lot of local Filipino girls, and they think that that is representative of the entire population. But it's not, because their sample size are the girls that nobody really wants. These are girls with no other options, and they're happy to take anything. Now, culturally, they are very sneaky. A lot of the times Filipino girls will steal from you. A lot of the times they will lie to you. They're very deceitful people generally. I've dated quite a few Filipinos the same way I've dated Thais, and the same way I've dated South Koreans. Filipino girls, in my opinion, cannot be trusted, and let me explain one story. I remember when I was younger, I had some work colleagues, and there were these women from the Philippines working at my company. Now, one day they had a celebration, and these Filipino girls, they were in their, say, 40s, or 30s or 40s, around that mark. And when they, like about 20 years ago, they married an Australian man, an older Australian man, probably 30 years older than them. And the girl's in her late 30s or early 40s, and he's 70, and he just died. And all the Filipino girls were having a celebration, and I was like, what's up? What's the celebration? They're like, oh, we're celebrating her husband dying. Now, she pretended for 20 years or more to love him. The Filipino girl lied, cheated and stealed and pretended and faked love for him, and was not going to leave him until he died. Stayed with him the entire time. And then he's sick in hospital. And actually, sorry, I gotta correct it. Dying. Didn't die, but was dying. They knew that it was terminal, and he only had days left. He went into hospital, and they were told that he was going to die. He only had days left. Instead of supporting her husband that she'd been with for 20 years, and he obviously believed that they were still in love, the moment that he became terminally ill and went in the hospital and was dying, she abandoned him right at the very end and didn't visit him in hospital, and allowed him to die in the hospital alone, just waiting for him to die. Now, that is next level deceit. And on top of that, I actually confronted her about that. I said, that's quite disgusting. What the hell? And a bunch of other Filipino ladies, they all jumped in and defended her and said, she worked for 20 years with this man. She now deserves his money. I was like, aren't you going to visit him in hospital? No, we're having a party. So if you're looking for true love, and you date or marry a Filipino girl, I know Dave Chappelle's married one. It might be different. Maybe her background is Filipino, but the culture right in the center of the Philippines, there's only really one way to make this happen and have a higher probability of success, is that you go and live in the Philippines full time, and don't bring her to your country. You go and live there full time yourself, have kids over there, and have her always fear that you're going to leave her. Unfortunately, a lot of aspects of life is leverage and power, always. Sure, some girls are going to fall in love with you, but a lot of those girls, they need to be virgins, be able to pair bond, and not have a lot of experience and a large body count. A lot of the guys that go to the Philippines, they don't realize that almost all the girls that they're dating and meeting up with have large body counts, and are struggling, will struggle or will find it impossible to pair bond with you, and they'll lie, cheat and steal their way into getting their hands on your assets. So the Filipinos, from my experience, and keep in mind, I've got a lot of good Filipino friends. One of my oldest friends for about 20 years is from the Philippines. We've discussed this. He's explained to me in depth what it's like over there, and I've traveled there once myself. I spent a month over there last year. I gotta say that they just assume that you're unfaithful and they're not faithful to you, a large percentage of them. So Filipinos, culturally, it's a very conservative country, yet they they seem to sleep around with a lot of foreigners. Why is that? Because it's deceit, it's deception. On top of that, attractiveness wise, the Filipino girls, I would rate them quite low. Generally, Filipinos are, maybe it's the food over there. I struggled to find any decent food in the Philippines. I started feeling sick a few weeks in because I couldn't find any decent, good food unless you spend higher amount, like more expensive than in Australia, just for good, clean, whole foods, and that would have been imported as well. Filipinos are generally a lot smaller. They've got that Spanish darker skin sort of feel to them. And the other aspect is generally they're not as voluptuous as other Asian nations. You know, you will find a Filipino girl that you know has a large chest, but they're not as common as other countries in Asia. On average, they're probably as flat-chested as probably the South Koreans, as well as the Thais as well. You know, maybe you'll get luckier with the Thais, maybe slightly. But maybe it is the food, maybe it's how they're, maybe it's malnutrition, I don't know, maybe it's the environment, I don't know. But I've noticed that it is a little bit harder to find a taller, leggy, attractive Filipino girl that isn't kind of looks like a boy. And so when you have a look around, so basically they're the three countries that I would say are probably the least attractive in a little bit of depth. I can go in a lot more depth, probably spend an hour on each of these three countries. But when you mix culturally and their attractiveness level, South Koreans, you know, the Thais and the Filipinos, they rank right at the very bottom, in my opinion, on not only attractiveness level but culturally, and the fact that you, by avoiding these three nations, not only for travel, but if you come across a girl from one of these countries, I recommend you not only avoid them. If you do, you will save yourself, on average, that doesn't mean that you can't get lucky and find a good one, but on average you will struggle to find a really good one in these countries. And so by watching this video, I would have saved you a lot of not only money, time, effort, your life, but heartbreak, and possibility of, like that man the story that I told you about, that man who dated a Filipino, married a Filipino girl and died in hospital alone. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to find a girl that's more likely to pair bond with you, have some culture that respects men, a girl that's more likely to fall in love, and you can get all that fuzzy feelings of real, true love with a good girl. I would avoid these three nations. Totally. Like, totally. I do have three nations that are right up in the top three, but you have to go to my channel to check out. I'll make another video on the top three Asian nations, top three Asian girls that I recommend that you should date. Dating and one night stands are obviously two different things, but avoid these three girls like the plague. Unless you're going to travel to Thailand or Philippines or South Korea and go for some one night stands, go knock yourself out, go have some fun, but be careful getting into anything serious with any of them. Anyway, top link in the description, check out the website and get some cold approach coaching with myself. I'll see you guys in the next video.